Hey everybody, Matt Plummer here. I have the privilege of having a conversation with Joe Dokes about illegal marijuana grows in Shasta County. If you're like me from a year or two ago, you probably have no idea what this is even about and why this is important. But this is something that increasingly is getting attention. I'd say even statewide. I've been seeing it written about more and more, and that this is something that is affecting our county in a major way. And so I have the privilege of talking with Joe today about this, and he has really been an expert on this who has dug into it as a volunteer and and I'll let him explain his background better, but previously in law enforcement. And so, Joe, why don't you give us a little bit of context on your background, how you got involved with this issue, and just give us an overview of what's happening here in Shasta County as it relates to this issue.
Well, let me start off by thanking you, first of all, Matt, because you and I have had extensive conversations. You have a very clear understanding of the issue of illegal marijuana in Shasta County and how it's negatively affecting our county. Now, let me capture the attention of your viewers. We currently are not capturing the $10,000 a day fines that we can assess to illegal marijuana growers. $10,000 a day.
Wow.
And there's a lot of reasons for that, but our county council has been ineffective at going after these fines when our sheriff eradicates them. Our current sheriff, Mike Johnson, started out probably with 7,000 illegal grows in this county. We hadn't been enforcing illegal marijuana for years, and he came in and has been very effective at going after the large grows. Um, but obviously, he can't get them all, Matt. But he's been
Right.
effective at going after the illegal grows. Why is it a concern for the normal citizen here? So Shasta County is a beautiful. We're out here in this beautiful
Yeah.
woodland today, a natural county. We have excellent water. We have excellent tree areas where people can go and recreate. But you cannot do it safely anymore because there's going to be an illegal marijuana grow out in the woods somewhere. We're predominantly run by illegal cartel, organized crime, marijuana trade here in
Mm.
Shasta County.
Mm-hmm.
Predominantly the Hmong, the Chinese, and the Mexicans. And so when our sheriff has to go out and eradicate, and our sheriff is very fair, he acts on public complaints to his
Okay.
best ability to go out and eradicate illegal marijuana. There's so much of it, he could fly over at any given day and find an illegal grow that needs to be eradicated. But he has
Wow.
to prioritize his resources, so he looks at grows that are going to be affected by the public, public complaints.
Sure.
Why should people be concerned about illegal marijuana at all? I always hear people say, well, it's fentanyl that's really dangerous for our community.
Right.
Fentanyl will not affect 95% of our high school students, but marijuana is the easiest drug in
Mm.
Shasta County to obtain. Fentanyl will not affect almost 50% of our DUIs in Shasta County.
Okay.
Marijuana does. Uh, Marijuana puts 1 in 7 of our youth at higher risk for suicidality. That
That's
is,
serious.
is,
Yeah.
is serious, much more serious than fentanyl. And when people take fentanyl, if they knowingly take fentanyl, they're taking the risk to take a drug that they know that can kill them.
Right.
People have been inculcated that marijuana, there's nothing wrong with
Right.
marijuana,
Right.
but it does affect our youth. We have cannabinoid hyperemesis or repeated vomiting, where people aspirate on their own vomit and die, and that has occurred.
Yeah.
We have acute marijuana syndrome, where they have mental illness that's exacerbated by their marijuana use. So there's a lot of conditions now, medical conditions, that are being exacerbated. Our hospital, 39% of our hospital admissions test positive for high potency THC
Really.
when a drug tox test is ordered at Mercy. So it's a problem for here locally. And when I go out and I interview our homeless, and I'm in our community interviewing our homeless,
Yeah.
lots of times they'll be smoking a blunt, which is marijuana and tobacco. And
Yeah.
so we see that drug use also does affect our homeless population here.
Well, one of the arguments that you hear from particularly those who are in government or thinking, government or business is that, well, if we have legal marijuana, then, the city will benefit from that in terms, or the county will benefit from that in terms of the tax revenue that will come in from that. And you shared a stat with me earlier that for every dollar, I believe it was for every dollar that comes in revenue, there's $4.50. Is that right? That's loss in, a combination of things in terms of work productivity, uh, injury or reduced, I guess, healthcare related costs.
Higher
Yeah.
employee theft.
Yeah.
Marijuana users have much higher employee theft. Yes, absolutely. And our hospitalizations, DUI accidents, one DUI accident today in the state of California, and it's not an accident, it's a crash. One DUI crash in the state of California today is about $1.5 million.
Mm,
So we're all paying for that because a lot of those people aren't insured. And so
okay.
there's a huge cost there. Um, in this county, because of the environmental destruction, and when I talk about environmental destruction, I'm talking 7 million gallons of water a day being used by illegal marijuana grows. I'm talking about marijuana grows, for example, Mill Creek subdivision that have commercial water pumps pulling out of Mill Creek, which feeds into Cow Creek, which feeds
Mm-hmm.
into Bella Vista's water supply, and all the chemicals, the carbofuran, the miticides, insecticides, rodenticides, all the growth hormones that they use, all of that is left at a marijuana grow, even when we eradicate it. And all of that is going into the environment. When you go to an illegal marijuana grow today in Shasta County, there's no wildlife. There's nothing swimming, there's nothing flying, there's nothing walking. They've all been eradicated. The growers get rid of them all using these chemicals. We
Wow.
can't we can't even deploy our sheriff's canines because they put all the bait on the ground to kill the deer and the bears and everything else. And one little piece, small the size of my thumbnail, can kill a bear if it has carbofuran on it.
Wow.
So uh, all of those toxic chemicals are here in our environment, and we're having to deal with them.
And you said so we had about 7,000 of these illegal grows. Now we're down to probably about 2,000. But you're talking about 2,000 of these illegal grows across the county where that, chemical exposure is happening. And also to just go back to the thing you started with is that we could be imposing a $10,000 fine per day
Yes.
on these 2,000 grows, for example, which that's $20 million a day. I mean, obviously we wouldn't be able to collect all of that, but that's something that's, I think, as a county official, where we're like, oh, where can we get more money to build an addendum to the jail, or be able to fix our roads, those types of things that cost in the neighborhood of 10, 20, even $100 million. If we could be imposing these fines, that could really make a big difference in terms of our county revenue.
You just brought up a statistic. You realize that if we did all those 2,000 gross, now that's not realistic, but say
Sure.
we did, that's $20 million a day. How many days would it take to build a new jail and to make this county fat, dumb, and happy? And the realistic side of it is we wouldn't be able to do that, Matt. But we could
Sure.
get a percentage of those, and we could make all the marijuana eradication, which we're currently paying for. We use government money. The feds give us some money, but it comes from county coffers. All of that could be paid for and
Right.
should be. The growers that do these illegal, horrible things to us, that bring all these crimes to our county, that bring murder, robbery, human trafficking, burglary, auto theft, all those are associated with illegal grows, illegal shooting, poaching, everything you can think of. They should pay for it. Shasta County citizens should not pay 1 cent for any of that activity.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And we talked about this earlier too, is that if we actually want to stop this, because just going in there, and you mentioned this to me at another point, just going into the legal grow, destroying it, doesn't stop it from coming back. I mean, you said if it wasn't destroyed, they'd be back within 72 hours and restart that. And so if we actually want the consequences of growing to be significant enough to keep people from doing this in Shasta County, then we need to be doing things like imposing these fines. And then if they're not paid, then, I think you said that the ultimate, you know, endpoint would be that we'd actually be able to seize the property, and that would get the attention of these landowners who, in some cases, as you've described, are not the ones who are actually, even necessarily aware that the grows are happening, but they're allowing it to happen on their property.
Correct. Trespass grows are a problem in the state of California. But one of the things that we could do, and one of the things you can be effective at as supervisor, is to be proactive on that issue. Let's
Mm-hmm.
send out notices beforehand. Let's advise them what's going to happen to their properties. Let's let them know that we have these ordinances in effect. We can do that proactively. It can go out to the water companies. It can go out to the all these people that sell all these landscape products, because they too are also enjoined in this illegal industry, and they're part of the conspiracy as well. So everybody, the whole county should know this. Every person that works in this county should be aware that if you're supporting an illegal business, you can also be held responsible. I think that's important. But
Yeah.
again, That money is sitting there, and we have not been effective at going after it. And it falls directly on the Board of Supervisors, and it falls directly on County Council. We should hire an administrative law judge, contract law judge. Other counties do that, and we should be running these cases left and right. Bring these people in to an administrator, and if they don't, the property is red tagged, and at some point, whether it's 1, 3, 5 years down the road, the county takes control of this property. Now we're required, if it has hazmat on it, required to clean it up,
Right.
but we take control of this property and we sell it. And that would stop illegal marijuana in California. Right now, we're fighting state government. State government has not been helpful to us. Recently, last year, the state put out $20 million to local communities to push more dispensaries in each one of their communities.
Interesting.
And Shasta County is not a dispensary county. That was one of the laws we worked on.
Right.
So we're a no illegal grow county. You can't grow more. You can have state law. You can grow 5 plants, 6 plants indoors.
Right.
We're a no water wasting county. You're not supposed to be able to use water for marijuana. We're a no hemp county because hemp is simply low grade marijuana that's synthesized into high grade marijuana. We're a no advertising county. And so, with our ordinances, we have some of the strongest ordinances in California, right here in this county, which I do applaud our previous board of supervisors for actually passing them. But we have to enforce them.
Right.
You know, yeah, we can have all the laws we want, but if they're just sitting out there, we're not doing anything about them. We're ineffective as county government, and it's to protect the quality of life for Shasta County and for
Right.
every person here, and how it impacts our youth.
Yeah. And I've talked about this before, but I think the normalization of drug culture is a key problem that our society and our nation is facing, our county too. And that if we just allow this to be the norm where it's like, oh yeah, it doesn't really matter, just, everybody does it. I mean, I think you told me a stat earlier that 95% of high school students are exposed to marijuana, not that they're taking it, but that they're exposed to it. If that is kind of the normal way of life, that we just think, oh yeah, it's okay to interact with drugs, that is actually going to impact the ability of our young people to contribute positively to our community, get careers where they're able to build wealth and buy land and own properties. And so it feels to me that it's all part of the broader vision of, we want healthy people who are able to build healthy careers here, and also that live in a society where there's a culture of accountability. And like what you're saying, if we have this law in the books of, oh yeah, if you have this illegal grow, and we're going to fine you $10,000, but we're not imposing it, then that creates a system where people are like, oh well, why bother following the rules if they're not going to be enforced? And so I think we need to get back to a culture of accountability. I think this is a really interesting opportunity for us to potentially solve some of those revenue challenges that we have at the county, and change this here in Shasta County, and keep it beautiful, keep it rural, and protect our young people.
You have the issue absolutely clarified, and we are looking forward to working with you as Supervisor Plummer and trying to restore faith in Shasta County.
Well, Joe, thanks for all the work that you've done. I know as a volunteer on this issue for many years, your depth of understanding coming out of law enforcement and then saying, oh, no, I'm not going to stop fighting for the community. I'm going to go after this. So appreciate the work you're doing. And thanks everybody for joining and for listening on this issue, whether you're new to it or maybe this is something that you are passionate about as well. Would love to hear in the comments what your experience with this, especially if you live out in some of these more rural areas and you've had encounters with illegal grows. What was that like? Have you actually filed a complaint? Because that is the way that we'll get the sheriff on it and get started here. So would love to hear from you on this issue. Thanks for joining, and we'll talk to you again.
Matt, can I add, if the
Yeah.
community wants to reach out, they
Yes.
can reach me at notmeofficer@gmail.com, NOTMEOFFICER@gmail.com. We're happy to tell them what's going on as far as drug prevention, what we're doing in our county to help our youth, and trying to keep our county a safe and sane place to live. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I would just add to that, I know in the past you've collected kind of the complaints of citizens out in the community who have been affected by these illegal grows, and then brought that before the board of supervisors on their behalf. And so if it's something where you don't feel comfortable, kind of you're scared, I mean, it's totally valid to be scared about this. Reaching out to Joe, just repeat your email again.
Notmeofficer@gmail.com. Just remember
Yeah.
what you told every policeman your entire life when you got pulled over on a traffic stop.
There you go. Yeah. So if you Joe can listen to your case and help you figure out what is the right course of action there. So thanks everyone.